In order to draw something using the transferring technique and have that design be symmetrical over 4 axes, right? These 4 folds, what you really need to do is limit your drawing area into one of these triangles. Before you start this, you do need these 4 folds as you see it here. If you need a guide on how to do that, watch the previous video on how to fold your paper. Okay, so step 1 is really to choose a triangle to draw in. I tend to like to start with this triangle right over here. Now, any line work that you draw, it's got to be contained within this triangle and only that triangle. One of the rules over here, please don't draw any lines that are directly on these folds. It tends to break the, what do you call it? It tends to make it very, very obvious that how this drawing was constructed. Okay, so I'm not drawing anything particularly meaningful or significant to me at the moment, right? Just some S curves and C curves. But what you'll notice is everything I'm drawing, all the lines, I'm having them end right at these 2 folds. I'm not going anywhere beyond this inside circle. And that's exactly how I want to keep it. Like the directions of the project says, you do want to fill most of the space, or all the spaces available on this paper intentionally, right? One of the things you'll see me do is right over here along this axis over here, because I want to include some personally significant objects or symbols of some kind. I'm making this sort of reverse C shape because I know that when I transfer that over that axis, it's going to give me a kind of negative space that I can work with, right? Something like a little area that I can draw something into. Now, you might be watching this video following along line by line with what I'm drawing here. That's fine in terms of getting yourself familiar with the with the transferring technique, but do remember, I'm looking for your own creativity here. Okay, so get familiar with the technique, sure, but you want to develop your own mandala design that includes or represents an essential aspect of who you are, okay, because that's what this project is about. Let's see what else I want to add here. While you're drawing this, you want to be using smooth, continuous lines, meaning no hairy lines like this. They don't transfer well, right? So there's a practical aspect of it. And also, with the scale we're working at, it's not super large. So you don't have to be worrying so much about how do I say this? You don't have to fuss so much about the lines and the quality of them because they're not spanning that far. Okay. Also remember as you draw the design that that you're planning on painting in, whatever shapes you draw, you are going to have to go back in there with a brush with paint. So what I'd recommend you do is have things at least 1/8 of an inch apart so that you can actually get in there with a small brush. I know some of you like to work with very intricate designs. You're free to do so, but it will get things a little more. You'll have to be a lot more meticulous is what I'm trying to say. Okay, so over here I've drawn a design, not necessarily anything that's personally significant to me, just a collection of S curves and C curves. Okay. Like I said, the key is it's contained within one single triangle. And we're doing that so that we can start the transferring process and have it be symmetrical over 4 axes. Now here's what I recommend you do. With the design drawn within this triangle, I recommend we start with the diagonal fold. So we don't have to worry about that after the first time. Okay? It's on, this design currently is on one triangle, meaning 1/8 of the paper. I want to get it on this side, okay? This portion of the paper. In order to do that, the fold that will allow me to have this lead touch this paper is this diagonal one. So I'm going to fold this. And on the back side, I should be able to faintly see the line work that's there. And I'm going to take the pencil that I have, hold it like a magic wand, and then put my index finger close to the tip so I can use the side of my lead to apply firm pressure to the back side of what I've drawn here. What I don't want you to do is use the regular pincer grip where you're still using the tip of your pencil to do this. That won't work as well because your coverage it's not wide enough. Okay, it helps a whole lot to use this overhand grip. So you want to hit the back side of all the line work that you've drawn. Now by the end of this, the back side of this paper is going to be a pretty hot mess, but that's actually what we want, because the more graphite you have on the back, and the more dense it is, the easier time you'll have with the final line work transfer from this piece of paper, which I call a stamp, onto the final thicker piece of paper that you're going to do the actual painting on. Okay, so there's the reveal. I've got the lightened or lighter line work over here that I can begin to, oops, got to sharpen my pencil. I can begin to darken these in. So let's go ahead and do that. Now you might discover, like I have, that some little portions you kind of missed. You might miss some line work, right? Like this little bend over here. That's okay. You can just refold, kind of track that piece of line work that you missed, and then darken it again. There we go. Now I got something to work with. Take your time when you put this line work down. What you'll notice me doing is I'm rotating the paper pretty frequently to increase the degree of control I have over what I'm drawing. Said a different way, I'm using the natural rotation of my wrist and I'm matching the paper's angle to work with that natural motion. So this C curve over here, rotate the paper almost upside down. So I'm using the same motion with my wrist to lay down these lines. So this stays still, this moves a whole lot. Okay, so, oh, I forgot these straight lines here. I went from the design being within one triangle, 1/8 of the paper. Now, with the first transfer, it's on 1/4 of the paper within this square. Like I explained before, the nice thing about this technique is that it gets easier in multiples. Now that it's on this quarter of the paper, I want to get it to the other quarter over here on the right side. To get this lead to touch that paper, I need to fold it over this vertical axis. Okay. I'm going to need to go over the back side over here another time. And again, I'm using that overhand grip with my pencil. Not a writing grip, not that pincer grip, but a grip that allows me to use the belly of my lead, the side of it. Okay, and I'm just repeating the process over here over the areas that are already darkened. And then I have the fresh area over here. It takes some energy to do this. A little bit of shoulder work. The results are for sure worth it. Something you do want to watch out for, you might be noticing these little dots of gray. That's coming from my fingertips because I'm ending up touching these areas of where the graphite is coming down. And before I flip the paper over, it's probably a good idea to take my eraser, just kind of rub it against my fingertips a bit to make sure I'm not getting the front side of this all messy. So let's do the reveal. Look at that. Now it's on a full half of the paper. Okay, and it comes time now to darken this in. What you might find useful is to lay some paper down over here, just in case the blade of your hand has a lot of graphite on it. You can use a scrap piece of paper like that to provide a buffer so that that portion of your palm isn't smudging things as you draw it. Make sure to sharpen your pencil as needed, particularly after you go through a session of transferring on the backside. It really depletes a lot of the lead. Okay. Now I have the design propagated over a clear half of the paper, meaning there's only one more time that I have to transfer this okay, from one half to the other. The fold that you need to fold it over should be quite obvious, right? This lead needs to touch that paper, and the only fold that'll really fully let that happen is this one. Now, when it comes to this point, there's a wide area that we need to do this transferring over. It's a whole half of the paper. You first want to repeat these areas that are already darkened in. Please excuse my dog Charlie. He's a very sweet boy, but sensitive to outside noises. You want to be as thorough as you possibly can be with your coverage here. Let's kind of check the other side to make sure it's transferring okay. That's looking good. We just have this quarter left. And again, watch out for the gray fingers. You do want to fix that before starting to draw on the other side. Let me get some of the graphite off of the table surface too. Now, another way that you can do the transferring is like this. You're not going over specific portions of like over behind specific lines. You just really going at it at the full backside of the paper. Okay. Oops. It can be quicker, but some of the coverage might not be as thorough, but you could try it out. Of course, it depletes your lead a lot quicker to do this way. So I'm gonna, if you notice the lead right there and the condition of it, it's pretty worn down. So I'm gonna sharpen that up. And then let's get these areas here. Don't want to miss a spot in this corner. Let's see how we're doing. Look at that. Very nice. So address these before you touch any of the the front side over here. I'm just going to rub my fingertips along this eraser. I mean, obviously you can wash your hands as well. That'll work best with soap and water, but this is the quick fix. So let's darken this in. Forgot to sharpen my pencil. Okay, so there you have it. That is almost complete in terms of the mandala line work. It only took about, I don't know, a little less than 40 minutes to get it to this point. Now, what I was mentioning about these little pockets of space, those are the portions where you can go ahead and add individual items, objects, or symbols that have some kind of personal significance to you. Okay? But hopefully the process of starting with a design within one triangle and then transferring it to all the other portions of the paper is a lot clearer to you after you watch this. Okay? All right. So good luck with yours. I'll see you in class.